I'm channeling my inner David Atkinson these days. I see the wisdom in it. Hello, vinyl community. This is Rich at Embarrassment of Riches, and I'm going to share with you my late September and full October vinyl finds in this video. It has been a very, very busy last, give or take, 6 weeks with travel and just various cleaning up around the property because winter's coming, so we're having to bring a lot of things in. We're going to have to give up the ghost on finishing building the chicken coop before spring. That kind of sucks. Also, the nights are getting a little bit colder, so the fire pit won't be used as much. Yeah, we're kind of taking things into the garage and working on more inside the house kind of projects, and that's keeping us plenty busy. We also did a bit of traveling. In October, we went to visit some friends that we met in our 3 years in exile in Missouri. Very, very kind people and great friends invited us over, and we had an awesome time for, I think it was about a week in total, but just great people and good times. And it was nice to see the area where we did live from about 2016 to 2019 and how it's actually grown, but it's still very much small town Missouri, which is not a problem. We also got to go to St. Louis, of course, because why not? And a couple of record stores, of course, while we were there. And one of the important visits for me that I somehow avoided, not actually, it was actually pretty easily avoided back then, but I have become a convert to learning how to play chess. Finally, at 54 years old, I've really taken up trying to learn how to play chess. Never learned as a young man. I remember playing once as a boy and just didn't really take. But now I played on Duolingo every day, and my wife and I bought a new chessboard that we play as often as we can. To that, St. Louis has the World Hall of Fame Museum for chess. And it's pretty cool. Hopefully I'll insert a couple of pictures here if I can. And it was a great place to visit. And yeah, the vinyl shopping was really good too. There was a record. Even though I have not been active in making videos for almost 2 months now, I have kept up on everybody else's channel and loved watching everybody's acquisitions and all the new vinyl tags that have been going on. So yeah, it's great to be a member of this community. Just want to say thanks. And first up is a pre-order from back in September that got delivered in October. I jumped on it as soon as I saw that it was available. I believe it was through Interscope. It's a reissue, but it is the 2LP reissue. I believe it's also a remaster of Live. The Distance to Here. Now it's on 2LP, and I believe the vinyl is apple, red, blood orange, some such goings on. Yeah, it's not too bad. I like that. Nothing wrong with that. But this here album I have not heard since the CD came out. I believe it was back in 1999. And I was still buying CDs at that point because I did not have a working record player until I think 2000, after many years of absence on my stereo shelf. Yes, and so I didn't even think about this album for a number of years until I was looking to fill out that portion of my live discography because I do enjoy the band. And I found out pretty abruptly that the original for this will run you about $200 in really good condition, which I mean, I like the band, but not $200 worth of liking. There was also, I believe, a 2017 Music on Vinyl repress, which has a bit of history with people thinking it sounds kind of like wet dog farts on wax. So it's not the one everybody really wants to have. It's not exactly anywhere near as cherished as the original. So a bunch of us jumped on this pre-order. And I got to say, number one, this is just a beautiful packaging here. I mean, it's very bright and colorful. The gatefold, if you can see, looks awesome. Yeah, very well done. And even though that music on vinyl one sounds so terrible, it still goes for about $100 because the fans that are rabid will take anything that's cheaper than the original. I mean, I can sympathize, but I'm not the one. And this was produced by Jerry Harrison from the Modern Lovers and Talking Heads fame as well, along with the boys in the band. And it sounds great. And listening with much older and wiser ears 26 years later, it's a very layered and beautiful and light at some points and heavy as a brick at others, and it just sounds incredible on my turntable. And to my mind, what makes this album even more desirable in this particular iteration right here is the inclusion of 5 acoustic bonus tracks that comprise the entirety of the D side on that second LP. And those 5 acoustic tracks were recorded in 2000 in Belgium, I believe, on the tour for this record, and they were a studio set for a radio station, maybe? Regardless, they do sound beautiful. And oh my God, if you have not read about this band breaking up a couple of years after this and all the goings on and lawyering and just straight up fucking rock and roll nonsense, it is worth your time to delve down that rabbit hole a bit if you're into that sort of thing. I'm into that sort of thing. Classic story of money and ego and lead singer hubris and songwriting credits and concert monies and bad money management, broken friendships, real concert meltdowns, and bad investments. And it is a terrible thing that these money guys keep robbing artists, but as far as I know, the band is back together and on the road. So, check them out. I might if I have the chance. And next up is a couple of eBay purchases that just happened to fall right in line together from different sellers but on the same day, and really comprised 2 important records that I did not already have in my collection. I'd spoken here before, probably a year ago, I think, on my love for Luther Vandross and all of his music. I don't have a complete discography yet, but this goes a long way towards completing that. These are Luther's first 2 records before he was a true solo act and the genius that we came to know a couple of years later. This was a group that he was basically the lead singer, definitely the one with the most shine. And these are Luther Vandross's first 2 records. They are not the Luther that we know and love from a couple of years after this. This was him. I don't know if he was forced into this group or if he created this group, because it's always nice to have backup singers. But this is from self-titled from 1976 and This Close to You from 1977 with the timing strip promo. These are great. There's a couple of songs here that he repurposed for later in his career. Could you imagine being in a group and having to share vocal duties with this dude? That is a thankless task, and you, whoever you are not up to it. Sorry. That's Luther Vandross. You ain't Luther Vandross. Now, young Luther was quite powerful here on these kind of semi-disco sounds. This is 76 and 77 after all. There's plenty of soul involved, but this is not the Quiet Storm smooth Luther that we would know and love in the 80s and 90s. And being the talented man that he was, he wrote and produced the majority of all the songs on here, I think, if not all of them. And sure, there's a couple maybe slightly generic soul, funk, disco type tracks, but that's indicative of the period. If you were around at that time in the late 70s, it was unavoidable. But, and really 2 tracks stand out to me from this that Luther wrote and produced himself because he is that guy. It's Funky Music Is a Part of Me, and the second time around, which were staples on a soul station that I used to listen to when I was a kid. That was on KUCR, I believe it was the radio station for University of Redlands, which was awesome for soul and hip hop in the early to mid 1980s. There are a lot of memories brought up by listening to some early Luther songs, and I'm grateful to finally have these in the collection. Almost a complete discography of him so far. I think I'm probably missing 2 or 3 LPs. And after that, of course, it's time to start seeking out the 12-inch singles because I am a vinyl masochist and I do that sort of thing. It's just how I am. One of my all-time favorite Luther songs, Don't Want to Be a Fool, makes its first vestigial appearance here on this second album, not the lush monster cut that we get later in his career that I still listen to very regularly. But I like beginnings. I like hearing beginnings. So, yeah, and the price is right. These are not expensive records. And I got both of these in great condition for not a whole lot of money. Super glad to have these. I don't want to be a fool ever again. And look at that young Luther there, man. You are missed. And if I do recall correctly, Luther did later on buy the rights to the publishing back from whoever he sold it to get these done, and made sure, at least for many, many years, that these never got reissued. I'm going to have to look and see if they ever were, but man, poor guy. He probably was a little embarrassed by his early output, but he had no reason to be. I think he was just a perfectionist. And this next one here was a lucky find on eBay recently, and it is Charlie Poole and the North Carolina Ramblers, early recordings, 1925 to 1930. And this is a 1965 compilation of tracks from those early sessions by Charlie and the boys. Now, I was not familiar with the music of Charlie Poole until about 2009 when I had heard Loudon Wainwright III's album High, Wide, and Handsome, which was a tribute to the music of Charlie Poole. And really, if any companies are listening, where's the fucking vinyl for that masterpiece? Where? I don't imagine Record Store Day people are listening, but some reissue place has got to be on the ball. And I was immediately struck with the humor and the stark beauty of these songs immediately, and I still play the MP3s from that in all my favorite playlists. But the music proved to be not easily accessible because I could not find any Charlie Poole records when I would go to the record store. But I was lucky enough, as these things sometimes happen, to be given this box set CD from a friend that I had just recently met before we left Southern California, who is a great fount of knowledge on music, especially American folk and roots music. And he gave me this. It's a double CD set of, it's called You Ain't Talking to Me, the music of Charlie Poole and the roots of country music. There's some old recordings here, but this is a advanced promo copy that my friend gave to me because he had extras. He had helped work on this. I don't remember what capacity in which he did work on this, but I'm sure he was there for some kind of knowledge. And I do miss seeing you, William. Hopefully I'll get back to Southern California before too many years pass by again, and I'll get to say hi and say thank you because I still listen to the music from this CD. And as it is stated in the liner notes, this is the most comprehensive survey of Charlie Poole's music and the early roots of country music. But I do think I will be on the lookout for more music from Charlie Poole and his collaborators because there is great stuff there. And the Loudon Wainwright album really only carried a few, so I'd like to see what the entire catalog sounds like if I can find it. Charlie Poole, the North Carolina Ramblers. Next up in my September-October United States travels plus music stores locally plus eBay purchases is an old favorite and one that was an empty spot in my collection. I'm glad to have this. It's not in the sharpest condition, but it is from 1984 and it is Ice-T with Killers and Body Rock. And perchance, if you are a fan of hip-hop and Southern California hip-hop in particular, you'll be glad to see that Electrobeat label right there. Electrobeat Records was a proto-hip-hop / electro label that put out some of the first homegrown Southern California hip-hop that kids like us in the early 1980s were able to purchase. It was nice to see something come from Southern California because all we had known previously was what people brought over from New York. You got to remember, there was no California hip-hop radio in the early 1980s. And this was not the first 12-inch that Electrobeat put out. That honor would go to Chicano rapper Kid Frost, trailblazer in this medium, and his 12-inch for the song Rough Cut was really, really good as well. That's a hard-to-find classic in Southern California. And I think most people who know hip-hop would remember Kid Frost from his big 1990 hit, La Raza. Mi español muy malo, muy malo. La Raza. La Raza. So there was that, this Ice-T single, and another classic, Ichiban Scratch, from Chris the Glove Taylor, on which Ice-T does make another appearance. And that rounded out the year of 1984 for Electrobeat and really put a stamp of hip-hop in Southern California. I was able to buy these 12-inch singles at that time and a lot of mixtape cassettes that Uncle Jam's Army used to put out. And those were always available for a good price at the swap meet at the Rose Bowl. Very good time. I haven't been there in a long time. I don't even know if they still have that. Oh, yes. Erstwhile television policeman and commercial pitchman Tracy Lauren Merrow, right there, better known as Ice-T. In his much, much younger years was a decent break dancer and a great rapper. And I am extremely happy that a lot of the rappers that I admired when I was a kid found careers in other fields and are still doing great stuff today. I don't watch any of the shows that he's on or LL Cool J is on, but I'm glad that they're doing it and doing it well. Up next to share is one that I am so glad to have that is really rounding out my discography, the classic 1976 Rastaman Vibration from Bob Marley and the Wailers. This is the original Tough Gong issue, which if you have followed the channel at all, you know that I am a bit of a fucking madman for the Jamaican Tough Gong pressings, and they are incredibly hard to find in decent condition. They were usually beat to shit, and when you get them, sometimes the wax itself was bad from the giddy up, regardless of how anybody played it or partied with it. But this is the original, and it's the textured cover. I can't remember if they called it like a russet sack or a potato bag. Something. Oh yeah, they described it as burlap. And it does contain some of my favorite Bob Marley and the Wailers tracks. His Crazy Bald Head is on here. Positive Vibration, obviously, which if you're a fan of Bob Marley and the Wailers, do yourself a favor. And that's the opening cut on the Babylon by Bus Live double LP that should be in everybody's collection by this point. If you don't have it, go get it. Oh, and also Who the Cap Fit, which is a nice cut. Found this one for a very good below Discogs median price on eBay from a trusted seller. Bam. Rastaman Vibration. Bob Marley and the Wailers. This even has the Total Sounds Made in Jamaica sticker on it, which you don't always see on a lot of these Tough Gong issues. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I'm a completionist in all the worst ways. There's a nice gatefold. Great stuff. 1976, Bob Marley and the Wailers. Who the cap fit? Let him wear it. thanks for sticking around this long. There are only a couple more left, and I appreciate your patience. This next one was another pre-order notification that I got about September, and I immediately jumped on because I wanted to support the band, the cause, and everything around it. And this is the reissue of Radio Free Europe from REM, with the proceeds going to benefit the same name service, Radio Free Europe. I, of course, do enjoy this golden era of prime REM music, and I fully support the Radio Free Europe service. They provide unbiased news to places around the world in which good information is impossible to come by because of, I don't know, onerous government regulation and dictatorships, which, yeah. Because a free press is absolutely necessary to the preservation of a constitutional democratic republic, which can be in danger from autocrats, plutocrats, shitheads. And it's important to provide unbiased news to a place teetering on the brink of totalitarian collapse, wherever they may be. You are, of course, free to disagree, and that's fine. You can also see your ass out. That doesn't matter. Brass tacks here, and I'll make it simple. If you live in the United States and you agree that there are any other people in the United States who presently enjoy too many rights, if you believe that they have too much freedom, then you are what important historians and medical professionals have deemed to be a piece of shit. Move along. Tangent finished. This was REM's breakthrough hit on MTV, certainly, and college radio. This was the first song I heard from them. Great, great music. And an even greater cause. Okay, this one here hurts a little bit. I have made known in previous videos from the beginning of my channel, which I was just informed is now 2 years old. They had a happy 2-year anniversary from the people at YouTube, and that's pretty cool. I watched these videos for a couple years before I ever made my own, and now it's just part of what I'm happy to do, and it puts me in a community of people with like-minded craziness about this music. At least this format of music, mostly. Yeah, I've made no secret of my love for the Avett Brothers. Together and individually, I've enjoyed everything that they've done in its own way. I've really loved every single album for what it is, and some are greater than others, but I have all of them on the shelves back there, and will continue to order them. But that leads us to this, the new solo joint from Seth Avett. It's the title is spelled F-E-A-T-H-E, and it's supposed to be Feathe, pronounced like breathe. And I had heard previously to this being released and read some things about that I couldn't believe that this was a rap album. And I'm trying to be as even-handed as I can be here because I do have a genuine love for the Avett Brothers. Yeah, this is not for me. I learned a few years ago from my personal guru, Rick Rubin, that music doesn't suck. I used to be quick to say that music is shit, that music sucks. Your music sucked especially, but mine was always good. And that is a super stupid and negative way of thinking. There is music that is for you, and there is music that is not for you. And this is most definitely not for me. I just don't fucking get it. I really don't. And I'm sad that I can't go along with them on the ride for this one. I'll still see them live. I'm going to get that new Avett Brothers album that they did with Mike Patton, which could be interesting. I am going to give that one all of my attention and hope that it kind of is redemptive from what this is. Man, So that is basically the bulk of my pre-orders and shopping in September and early October. I have another video to come with a lot larger stack of things that I picked up in October on our travels in Missouri. And also, we just got back from a week in New York where I found a record store. We weren't in the city, man. We were up in Saratoga Springs, out in the country. Not a lot of record stores there. Definitely one of my favorite places to go for used old books, because that is yet another thing that I collect, because I am an inveterate reader and collector. Just what I do. I'm as crazy about novels, my favorite old novels, as I am about records and comic books and fucking posters and God knows what else. But more to come. Thanks for hanging out. Love all of you, and I'll see you next time. And Mental Jewelry came out when I was still in... God damn it. Those bonus tracks were recorded as at an acoustic... Fuck. Those acoustic tracks were recorded in... Fuck. On the radio station. Fuck. There's a lot of memories that are... there's a lot of memories. Fuck. North Carolina Ramblers. Wonderful, wonderful... fuck. If Record Story... fuck! Fuck! No. Fuck. So if you are a hip-hop... Fuck. Containing... And it can...